But this is only matter's first self-view. A scale and series in the ignorance. This is not all we are, or all our world. Our greater self of knowledge waits for us. A supreme light in the truth-conscious vast. It sees from summits beyond thinking mind. It moves in a splendid air transcending life. It shall descend and make earth's life divine. Truth made the world, not a blind nature force. For here are not our large diviner heights, our summits in the Our summits in the superconscious blaze are glorious with the very face of God. For here are not our large diviner heights. Our summits in the superconscious blaze are glorious with the very face of God. There is our aspect of eternity. There is the figure of the God we are. His young, unaging look on deathless things. His joy in our escape from death and time. His immortality and light and bliss. Our larger being sits behind cryptic walls. There are greatnesses hidden in our unseen parts. There are greatnesses hidden in our unseen parts that wait their hour to step into life's front. We feel an aid from deep indwelling gods. One speaks within. Light comes to us from above. Our soul from its mysterious chamber acts, its influence pressing on our heart and mind pushes them to exceed their mortal selves. It seeks for good and beauty and for God. We see beyond self's walls our limitless self. We gaze through our world's glass at half-seen vasts. We hunt for the truth behind apparent things. Our inner mind dwells in a larger light. Its brightness looks at us through hidden doors. Our members luminous grow, and wisdom's face appears in the doorway of the mystic ward. when she enters into our house of outward sense. Then we look up and see above her Son. A mighty life self with its inner powers supports the dwarfish medicum we call life. A mighty life self with its inner powers supports the dwarfish modicum we call life. It can graft upon our crawl two puissant wings. So in the past we have analyzed this idea of the two puissant wings. Higher mind and intuitive mind, because he's speaking about mind here and how it exceeds itself. A mighty life self with its inner powers supports the dwarfish modicum we call life. It can graft upon our crawl two puissant wings. Our body's subtle self is throned within in its viewless palace of veridical dreams that are bright shadows of the thoughts of God. In the prone, obscure beginnings of the race, the human grew in the bowed ape-like man. He stood erect, a godlike form and force, and a soul's thoughts looked out from earthborn eyes. Man stood erect. He wore the thinker's brow. He looked at heaven and saw his comrades' stars. A vision came of beauty and greater birth, slowly emerging from the heart's chapel of light, and moved in a white, lucent air of dreams. He saw his being's unrealized vastnesses. He aspired and housed the nascent demigod. Out of the dim recesses of the self, the occult seeker into the open came. He heard the far and touched the intangible. He gazed into the future and the unseen. He used the powers earth instruments cannot use. A pastime made of the impossible. He He caught up fragments of the omniscience thought. He scattered formulas of omnipotence. Thus man in his little house, made of earth's dust, grew towards an unseen heaven of thought and dream, looking into the vast vistas of his mind on a small globe dotting infinity. At last, climbing a long and narrow stair, he stood alone on the high roof of things and saw the light of a spiritual sun. Aspiring, he transcends his earthly self. He stands in the largeness of his soul, newborn. Redeemed from the encirclement by mortal things, and moves in a pure, free spiritual realm as in the rare breath of a stratosphere. A last end of the far lines of divinity, he mounts by a frail thread to his high source. He reaches his fount of immortality. He calls the Godhead into his mortal life.